43 points to nil. The Springboks get the win against Wales in a what was very slippery, very weird conditions, very humid conditions in Durban. But if you've ever played in Durban, especially at night, you know it's like a completely different beast. The ball is like a bar of soap. You could see it today. But there's a lot to unpack in this video. So before we do get into it, if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. There will be player ratings coming out for the Springboks, guys, right after this. Of course, we will be going through the greatest rivalry series as well. We'll be covering everything. So if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I really do appreciate all the support. We've just hit 3,000 subscribers. We're trying to go for 10,000 by the end of the year. If you want to help us get there, please do. I do appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the feedback as well. So 43 points to nil. A very underwhelming performance from the Springboks, a very underwhelming performance from Wales, a very underwhelming game that has to be said. I think Durban deserves a bit more of a better test match than that. One of the best crowds you can play in front of, one of the best stadiums, one of the best atmospheres. These guys need an All Blacks game in Durban. They do. They need a bigger game like that because, I mean, this game was a little bit dead in some periods of the game. The atmosphere was a bit low, but you can't blame them because there was a lot of handling errors, a lot of mistakes. The ball was very slippery, but still, a lot of questions were answered for the Springboks, but still there is a lot of questions still to be answered. Who on earth is going to be the 23 to take on the All Blacks? I have no idea. The number 6 jersey is up for grabs, the number 4 jersey is up for grabs. I think the number 5 is fine. Carlo Sadi played a brilliant game today. Malcolm Marx was good. Gerard Steenkamp was good. Herschel Jantjies actually had a pretty good game from the bench as well. Mani Lebok came on, pulled the strings so well from the number 10 jersey. Needs to work on his kicking, but I mean, those were difficult kicks as well. We have to say that. I mean, they weren't in front of the poles. They were all from the edges. He did get 1 from 3, but the way he pulls the strings, the way his contestable kicks are just so accurate. Kicking for the line as well, absolutely brilliant. Damian Willemse came on, made an impact. It has to be said, Lindy and Krill were quite quiet today. Jaco Williams had a good debut. Vusi Moyo looked really composed. A very good debut for him as well. But I'd have to say Wales weren't that bad. Yes, they weren't the best. They didn't score a point. Since 2024, they haven't scored a point. But you can see that there is starting to be a bit more of an improvement there for Wales, the way they attack the game. I think the Springboks are just so good right now that they make any team suffer they play against. They keep possession away from Wales. When Wales get the ball, it's like a snake just swarm. It's crazy the way the Springboks swarm the opposition team they play against. I don't think Wales is built for that right now, but Wales did also make quite a few changes before this game. I mean, noticeably in the centres as well. And I will say Ben Thomas, he's a good player in my opinion, but he's not a ball carrying physical centre. I don't think either of those guys are, and I think those Wales centres from the other few weeks would have made a much bigger impact. But that being said, it's a very good experience for these Wales players. Very, very good experience for those 4 debuts for South Africa as well. Carlo Sadi was awesome. Ruben van Heerden was decent today. Vusi Moyo had a solid performance, and Jaco Williams as well, scoring a few tries of his own. So some very good performances from both sides, but still a very sloppy game. But we'll go over the stats and we'll talk about some of the individual performances. So first of all, we'll talk about some of the player performances. Vusi Moyo was 6 points. Paul de Villiers getting the last try of the game. 16 carries for Paul de Villiers. He was all over the field. 22 tackles complete for Jack Morgan, and I mean, those Wales players had to make a lot of tackles. They also slipped off of a lot of tackles, but as I said, playing in those conditions in Durban, the humidity, it's like all the sweat you just see the sweat coming from out of nowhere. The ball's wet. It's like you're playing in rain and in snow. It's weird. You just can't hold the ball. You can't tackle people. You can't hold on to people. They slip off. I mean, it's one of the worst places to play rugby if you want a really good game of running rugby. I think from now on, we have to make a petition that if they want to play in Durban, it has to be in the day. It can't be near 5 p.m. It can't be at night because that's when it really gets very tricky to play some good rugby. 2 line breaks for Apalele Fassi. 3 turnovers, 1 for Paul de Villiers, 5 defenders beaten for Jasper Wiese, a really good carrying performance, and 47 successful passes for Thomas Williams. So, of course, there are other players that played quite well in my opinion. I'll talk a bit more about them now. But let's start off with the 22-meter entries and the 22-meter conversions. 16 entries to the opposition 22 for the Springboks. That is a lot of entries and an average of 2.6 points scored per entry. That's nearly 3 points every single time you're entering the opposition 22. That is a sign of a clinical team. And without some of their star players, without some of the better players there, without a Thomas Tutoy, without a Oxenche, without a Ruan Norke as well. So really good to see that from the Springboks. They are clinical, even in those conditions, even when making a lot of mistakes and a lot of handling errors. 5 entries to the opposition 22 for Wales, and still 0 points scored. Very unfortunate for Wales. And I will say, I thought they deserved a few points tonight. I am a massive Springbok fan, as you can see here, but I was hoping that Wales would get a few points. I honestly think Wales deserved it at some periods throughout the game. They did seem a bit rushed. It did seem like they were, I don't know, a bit shell-shocked once they got into the 22 of the Springboks. And the other games they played throughout the other weeks, they didn't look that shell-shocked. They were actually quite comfortable, quite poised in how they were playing. They understood what they wanted to do. But in this game, they just seemed a bit out of their depth. I thought they deserved points. I thought the Springboks didn't have their best game. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think Wales deserved points? Even as a Springbok fan, I was a bit disappointed when Wales actually left the 22 without points the one time. So 16 entries into the 22 for the Springboks, 2 22-meter conversions, 12 line breaks for the Springboks, only 1 for Wales, 33 kicks for Wales versus 32 for the Springboks. And it's actually crazy the differences in those kicks. So those 33 kicks for Wales were about them surviving. They just had to survive, get out of their 22, get that ball out as far as possible, and just survive. Some of them were good box kicks, some of them were poor kicks as well. But for the Springboks, those 32 kicks were attacking up and unders, attacking box kicks, a few exits now and then, but attacking kicks, grubbers, cheeky cross kicks, a lot of variation to their kicking game, which is, I think Wales is lacking with that. Of course, Wales weren't really in any good positions to try have attacking kick game. They weren't in any good positions to try kind of set up an attacking base today. For them, it was just fight or flight. They were fighting from their back to the wall. They would just had to get out of a corner. You could just see that the whole time. So those 33 kicks for Wales, yes, they had more kicks than the Springboks, but those were about surviving and trying not to get 50 points put on them. Post-contact meters, 293 for the Springboks, 105 for Wales. And I will say, Wales has some very good athletes, some very good ball players. I mean, not for me today, but the guys I normally see that stand out for me, Aaron Wainwright, Jack Morgan, some of the other centers as well. Louis Zammit normally was a bit quiet today. Ellis Mee I thought was good. No Josh Adams. I think he pulled out before the game. Would have been very interesting to see how he plays. But you can just see with the way the Springboks come around the corner, the way Kobus Reinach picks off from the base. Those guys run those perfect lines after getting some go forward ball. 293 post contact meters. You can't be surprised by that. The Springboks are really good at avoiding contact before it happens. And a lot of people do think the Springboks are just coming to run over you. That's not the case. How many times did we see a Jasper Visser in space today, a Kobus Visser in space, a Paul de Villiers in space, Peter Steph de Toy with the ball in hand in space? The Springboks do very well of initially dominating the contact, getting over the advantage line, creating those post-contact meters, and then guys like Kobus Reinach, guys like Manu Lebok, pick the perfect runners to get those line breaks, and that's where the tries happen, that's where the points happen, that's where the momentum starts to pick up for the Springboks. So it's like a well-oiled machine right now for the Springboks. Maybe not too well-oiled tonight, but still, there was some very good signs and glimpses of a well-oiled machine. I mean, it's not going to be those conditions against the All Blacks. They're playing, I think it's in Joburg and Pretoria, then in Cape Town, I'm not too sure, but not one of those places they play will be the same conditions as tonight. There won't be that much humidity. It'll be a much easier game of rugby to play if you're talking about ball in hand and about ball retention as well. 9 dominant tackles for the Springboks, 2 for Wales, 126 tackles made for Wales, 103 for the Springboks, 26 tackles missed for Wales, 7 missed for the Springboks. That is unacceptable, but still not the worst one today. I think it was 42 tackles missed for Italy earlier today, so that was absolutely horrific. And I mean, in these conditions, you are going to miss tackles, you are going to slip off with tackles. I mean, it's just how it happens. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt for some of those, because the ball was so slippery today. You could even see going up for the contestables, there was barely any balls caught from the high ball contestable kicks. There was barely any box kicks regathered. It was a very sloppy game, a lot of turnovers, and that's just how it is in Durban. It's going to be one of those games you're going to have to really grind to get a win there. You're going to have to really grind to score some tries. And I think if this was in Pretoria, maybe it was a higher scoring game. Maybe if it was in Cape Town, it was a higher scoring game. It is just extremely difficult in the evening, in a humid night in Durban, to actually get the ball going in your favor. 5 turnovers, 1 for the Springboks, 2 for Wales, 2 tackle turnovers for the Springboks, same for Wales. So tackle offloads allowed. Wales allowed the Springboks to get 13 offloads. Springboks allowed Wales to get 6 offloads. The Springboks really like to keep the ball alive nowadays. I know you can see sometimes with the coaches' reactions, they don't want to. Sometimes they just say, go down with the ball, set up, we'll get them on the next phase, especially with that Kobus Visa one. There was a few times today it's been happening, but I mean, the Springboks are looking to keep the ball alive now, and the game they play, the attack they play has just progressed so much where they're not just trying to run over teams, they're trying to run through teams, they're trying to run around teams, they're trying to outsmart teams, they're trying to outskill teams, and they're starting to get it right. I mean, a perfect example is Jasper Visser. Remember Jasper Visser when he made his debut? He was just a very good ball carrier, didn't have much skill, could barely pass a ball. Now he's got some silky skills, good ball playing ability, he can make good decisions, good ball carrying as well. He has become such a better rugby player, and I see a lot of potential with his brother as well. So I mean, let me know down below in the comments, do you think Kobus Visa has what it takes to actually be a part of the 23 for the greatest rivalry series? Ebenetspets had no game time. He's been very bad this year for the Sharks. I mean, he's really been taking a downward spiral with this game because of lack of game time. Luediaga hasn't played, no RG Snyman, JJ van der Mesh isn't the squad. I do believe it could be Kobus Visa and Ruan Nortje together, maybe with Franco Mostert as well, for the greatest rivalry series. But let me know down below. It's going to be very interesting. 5 scrums for the Springboks, 100% win rate, dominant scrums there. Carlos Sardi really set the tone today. He honestly, the coaches would have seen that and said, this guy can be a Springbok now. He was awesome. I won't be doing the player ratings, but I thought Carlos Sardi doing his main role for scrummaging was absolutely awesome. And I saw when he was crying for the anthem, this guy's going to have a good game. 12 scrums for Wales, 82% win rate, which is actually quite shocking. A very good win rate considering their scrum was going back the whole time. There was one scrum I remember in the midfield. Thomas Williams puts in the ball. Literally within a second, Aaron Wainwright already got the ball out. So they did very well to kind of manage that situation. A lot of damage control there at the back from the scrum for Wales. 91% line-out win rate for Wales, 95 for the Springboks. So with the conditions, good line-out win rates, good scrum win rates, and the Springboks were very dominant at scrum time. So overall, I'd say, for me personally, it was about a 6 or a 7 out of 10 performance from the Springboks. There were some very good performances there, and about a 5 out of 10 performance for Wales. Not their best, not their worst. The conditions definitely played a factor in this game, but the positive sign is those players that are the usual Springbok players played quite well in my opinion. I thought the bench came on and made a good impact. Kobus Visser had a good game. Jasper Visser had a good game. Paul de Villiers was my man of the match. And for Wales' side, I thought Jack Morgan was solid. Aaron Wainwright was solid. Alex Mann did alright today. I thought there were some good performances from both sides, but overall it was a very sloppy game. I'm trying to see actually how many handling errors there were, because there was a lot of handling errors in this game. I'm trying to see here. 20 turnovers lost for the Springboks, 12 turnovers lost for Wales. So a very scrappy game. Springboks with 58% possession, 60% territory as well. So I mean, for Wales, it was just about them trying to minimize the damage, trying to not get 50 points put on them. But you can see Wales is on the up now. There's a few little patches of glimpses of hope there for Wales. I do think they deserved a point for this game, and I thought the Springboks were nowhere near their best. But that being said, now Wales have a break. They're going to be playing again in November. That's going to be very exciting for them. I think they're hosting the All Blacks, Wallabies, and Fiji. I think no, not Fiji. They're hosting the Wallabies, the All Blacks, and Japan at home. So that's going to be 3 very exciting games for them. The Springboks later on in the year have Ireland, France, and Italy away from home. Those are going to be very challenging games. But first of all, it's the greatest rivalry series, and I cannot wait for this. The All Blacks have just laid down a marker, playing some extremely good rugby. They dominated Ireland earlier today. Can they do the same to the Springboks? I don't think so, but it's going to be absolutely awesome. I will be covering every single thing, news, team reactions, team selection reactions, all the news, the injury reports as well, player ratings, match reactions, match previews, team of the weeks as well. I will be doing absolutely everything for the greatest rivalry series. So if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I really do appreciate all the support. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.